Yo, what's going on, ladies and gents? My name is Arbuckle. Welcome back to another Black Ops 4 Gold Gun Best Class Setup video. Essentially what I'm trying to do with this series is jump into the game, get all the weapons gold, so that I have time to experience all the different attachments and different forms of the gun, and then make a video for each individual weapon, giving you guys what I think is the best class setup to do well with, or at least has helped me to do really well. So hopefully I'll be able to help you guys find a class that hopefully will work for you. So today's video, we're going to talk about the RAMPART-17 assault rifle. This gun is a lot of fun to use. If you guys watched the first episode, I talked about the ICR and how I felt that it could be played as an assault rifle and a submachine gun. For me, I tend to be a player that is always rushing around the map, and I tend to play really aggressive with assault rifles. But with the RAMPART-17, it's a little bit different. I feel like this gun is more closer on the spectrum of weapons to a light machine gun than a submachine gun, even though it is an assault rifle. So I tend to play a little bit more defensive and a little bit more conservative with this gun. If you take a look at it, it's a fairly big weapon. It's got a slow fire rate, and it takes a while to reload, so it's not something that you really want to push into the spawn and try to go after multiple people at once. So I think that it's definitely a gun that you're going to want to, like I said, play more conservative with. So let's look at this class setup that I'm using. I'm running, obviously, the Rampart. I'm running a reflex sight. Most of the time when I'm using assault rifles, I always have some sort of scope, especially when I'm playing defensive. Generally, I think that you should always have a reflex on assault rifles. The only time I would say not to is if you are playing with it like it is a submachine gun. I think in my ICR video I actually did run the reticle, but when you're using an assault rifle that can play like a submachine gun where you're allowed to rush the spawn and still do well, a reflex isn't always necessary. But when you're playing more conservative, I feel like it's a must-have. So with the Rampart, I highly recommend running the reflex. I think it is needed. Reticle is really not a big deal. I would always recommend using that small dot reticle. I know a lot of people like to get fancy and use different things, but I think the dot is much easier to focus on, and there's a lot less distractions going around your reflex sight. So I'd recommend using a little dot. So I'm running the reflex. I'm running long barrel. The gun is good. Like I said, we're playing defensive. We're probably going to be fighting most people from some sort of distance. So you want to have long barrel so that you're still able to compete and not losing damage from that distance. I'm using grip. The gun itself doesn't have too bad of recoil, but again, like I said, we're playing defensive, we're playing conservative, so most of our gunfights are going to be a distance. So we want to make sure that we're not gonna lose bullets to drop off with our gun kicking up. So we want to make sure that we have grip as well. I'm also running fast mags. Like I said, the gun does have a fairly long reload time, something that really annoys me. For some reason, I just get really pissed off when guns take forever to reload, and the Rampart's one that kind of gets on my nerves. So I'm running fast mags. I did have FMJ on, but I found that FMJ wasn't necessarily a requirement for a gun like this when you're staying back, and most people that you're fighting are going to be running out towards you since you're not pushing them. And I found that there's not as many situations when you're playing like that where you're going to have to shoot through walls or shoot through random items. So I think that fast mags was probably an upgrade over FMJ. So yeah, I'm running fast mags so I can reload quicker. The secondary that I'm running is the RK7. I think this is complete personal preference for this one. I think that with the Rampart, a secondary is important because the gun does take a while to reload, even though we are using fast mags, and because the gun is big and has a slower fire rate, if someone does push right up on top of you, pulling out that secondary is probably going to give you a better chance of getting that kill, and having that RK7 I think is probably your best bet with this weapon. So RK7 is a secondary. Perk 1, I'm running Tactical Mask. There's not a whole lot of options perk 1 that are really going to benefit the playstyle for this weapon. Flak Jacket, maybe. Flak Jacket and Tac Mask are the only two that I recommend. I think Scavenger and Engineer are pretty much pointless to use with this gun. The second perk that I'm using is Gung Ho. I'm a huge fan of Gung Ho. Obviously, it allows you to fire your weapon and use equipment while sprinting. Although we're not rushing into the spawn, I think that because this weapon does not have quick draw as an attachment, Gung Ho is a necessity. If you guys have noticed, I always run quick draw on almost every single gun that I use. And because they don't have it with this assault rifle, you guys see that it does take a while to aim down that sight. Gung Ho is something that's really going to benefit you when you're going up against players that do have weapons with quick draw. So Gung Ho is a good way to go. And then the third perk that I'm running is Dead Silence. Team Link and Tracker I don't think are worth it. Ghost maybe, but I was thinking, you know, we're playing defensive, we're playing conservative, and Ghost only works when you're moving, and we're probably not going to be moving as much as we would be if we were using the ICR or submachine gun. So having Dead Silence is always nice, especially nowadays. with everybody having these crazy headsets. And then obviously my last spot for the pick 10 system is primary gunfighter, so that I'm able to run all those extra attachments. But anyway, guys, this is the class setup that I run for the Rampart-17. I found a lot of success with it, and I've had a lot of fun using this gun. Getting it gold was actually fairly easy. If you guys have any questions or any other class setups that you recommend with this gun, make sure to leave it down in the comment section below. I hope you guys did enjoy. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see all you guys in the next video. Can we be friends?